Hola, yo soy Meteoróloga Amy Metz. I am going to be doing a forecast for this storm. Huracán Julia, or Hurricane Julia, made a Category 1 landfall in Nicaragua this morning. This is Sunday morning. Now in this area, as the sun begins to rise, we'll see more and more thunderstorms over the mountains, dropping a lot of rain and some heavy winds still. So 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Viento a 100 miles per hour. So kilometers per hour, 160. That's going to be upslope and downslope winds. Otherwise, for the most part, this storm is not as strong. And I do believe we're going to have another landfall coming up here I'll talk about. So you can find more information, más información, on my Facebook page, Weather Woman Mujer del Tiempo. So that's what I've said there for, I have put up a lot of products, text products, and you can ask me questions in the comments there and I'll answer them in these live stream forecasts. So the forecast for this storm, I had been forecasting that it would be making that landfall right near these islands. So that did happen. Bluefields had the strongest winds, around 100 miles per hour, with the gusts there, 85 mile per hour sustained wind speeds. And now as the storm continues, it's mudslides that are the next threat. Power outages, the heavy rains and strong winds all the way through Guatemala, and then San Salvador, Panama, Costa Rica, all these other areas are still going to be getting the thunderstorms, but not so much the strongest winds. So switching over to show you where we had the strongest portion of the storm here, it did make a landfall right in this area. So there are regions with a lot of rivers here. You can see all the waterways that are going to continue to have heavy downpours filling in. So there will be a lot more flooding in this area in the days to come, for another couple days here, as the storm continues to have its rain bands over those portions of the mountains here for another day or so. You see that some of this will continue raining and then feeding back down into those areas that were also inundated with a little bit of the seawater from the storm surge. So playing out this model, they usually are not very accurate a few days out, but I do want to note that once it gets around here, I do believe we're going to be having this for the most part, moving toward the northwest. So getting into the specifics of how I forecast that, we are already looking at the 500-600 millibar level. That's halfway up in the sky. So looking at this, I can see that some of the energy, some of that wind is already starting to go northward with this other system here. That's part of a much stronger, longer cold front here that passed across the United States. So these upper level winds that we're seeing here, where it's stronger in the blues, that has a lot to do with where these storms end up moving. So as this continues moving westward, little bits of the energy are going to continue feeding northward. This will end up pulling it off. Well, let's say not quite pulling it to the east, but more so allowing the storm to kind of stall out a little. So this is going to cause a little bit of extra rain throughout Central America, because there's this other system to the north that's kind of slowing down the motion. So as this continues onward, there's going to be heavy rain through Mexico, although we don't have to worry about the strongest wind speeds getting any worse than they already have been. There's a chance we could see some of this storm come together, get stronger as it is again over the Pacific waters. But as I switch here to look at the sea surface temperatures, you'll notice that very quickly that water does get cooler. So as the storm continues to make its way northwest, it will also be dying off because of this cooler water mixing into it. So while we do have a big thunderstorm here, chances for large thunderstorms with a lot of flooding, most of the heavy wind damages are already done with, aside from areas that are in the mountains. We're going to have más lloviendo, más viento, más lluvia en las montañas. So that's going to be stronger, más que ahí con las montañas. Pero as a whole, we're looking at 75 mile per hour winds right now through areas like Santo Tomas, we would really be seeing more like somewhere like a 60-mile-per-hour wind, lots of tree debris on the ground. But it's going to be the mountains anywhere in this zone that could see the 100-mile-per-hour winds. That was enough to knock down some power, knock down trees onto houses. So those are going to be the main threats, along with mudslides where we see this heavier rain in the yellows. So I hope everybody can stay safe through these storms, and I'll go ahead and continue forecasting these. I'm going to let this stream for anybody who does end up losing power or wants access to this. Just go ahead, and you can always scroll to the beginning of my silent live streams if you catch one, if you want to hear the forecast. I put them at the beginning and let this stream so people on the ground or people who have loved ones on the ground here might be able to monitor this situation from their cell phone or other device that might have power still, while the rest of the homes in some of these areas may lose power. You can still hang on to that satellite connection. So I'll leave this streaming just like this with those wind speeds. I'll switch it to kilometers per hour just for people in this part of the world. And I'll let this be silent now.